All right, to go on with the show, I don't know if you all remember a couple episodes ago, my brother was on the show, and he referred to a certain someone as his better half. And if you were wondering who that better half is, she's currently on the phone with us right now, Stefani Cassidy. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm about the same considering the circumstances. So you know what? We're we're just gonna make do with what we've got exactly. So now, like I've been saying, the last few episodes, we've been taking advantage of the Netflix Party extension that the streaming giant recently added on to combat this whole COVID-19 pandemic. So that way no one, I guess, feels too isolated from each other. And the last movie that we decided to watch as a group together was The Perks of Being a Wallflower. For those of you who don't know, the film follows a socially reserved wallflower as he enters high school and becomes close friends with a close-knit group of seniors. He falls in love and battles his own inner demons. The film is directed and written for the screen by Stephen Chbosky and is based on his novel and stars Logan Lerman, Emma Watson, Ezra Miller, Dylan McDermott, Kate Walsh, and Paul Rudd. Now, Steph, you are the one that decided to pick this movie. So, what is it about this movie that makes you so enthusiastic about it that made you want to watch this with us so badly?
Well, before you ask if I've read the book, I unfortunately have not.
Neither have I. Disclaimer, folks. Neither one of us have read the book.
Nobody tell anybody about that. Just going on YouTube, whatever. So this movie has something for everybody. I think everyone can relate to the struggles that Charlie goes through, the feelings that Sam and Patrick feel as they go through their final year of high school. Without saying too much, like Charlie also faces a lot of trials and tribulations through his first year of high school, which I think a lot of people can find something that resonates with them, whether it's something they also went through or something that they can, understand or know someone who went through. So I think it's just, obviously it's a very sad movie without giving away too much, although the movie came out 8 years ago, so if you haven't seen it, what are you people doing?
Yep.
But I definitely think there's something for everybody in that movie, and that makes it, really special to me.
I agree with everything you just said. Going to one of the first points that you addressed, how, we can all, kind of understand exactly what everyone's going through, and in particular, for whatever reason, I can see... I'm trying to figure, how self-obsessed and pompous this might sound, but for whatever reason, anytime I watch this movie, I'm always able to see a lot of myself in Charlie. Again, just, this very... shy and kind of reserved guy. And I know that's, again, when I get to know someone, that changes, but I know a lot of times, I can be a bit to the more reserved side, especially when I meet someone, not necessarily, I don't really have the easiest time opening up with, my personal feelings and stuff like that. And again, like I said, that's just something I see a lot of in myself as well as Charlie. And going to what you're saying about, a lot of it being very sad, again, this movie is very emotionally resonant. There are things where it is very sad, but at the same time, there are also points that are very funny. And I think to balance out this movie, the humor that's in it, is quite necessary. And I think it takes all the highs and lows of growing up, of our coming of age, and instead of just making them look like peaks and valleys, they turn them into mountains and sinkholes. Because the highs in this movie are so high, they feel so great, but the lows in this movie just knock you out in honestly the best way possible. I never have a bad feeling watching this movie, or hell, even when there are certain more depressing scenes in the film, I just feel touched and satisfied. Because I think these are certain things that you need to be able to feel in order to be completely human.
Exactly. Like you said, it's about being human, and that nobody's life is all sunshine and rainbows, 100% of the time. Sometimes, things happen to us, deaths in the family, loss of friendships, changes in schooling, jobs, all these things happen to us, and they're part of our, the fabric of what makes us ourselves. And we can't ignore that in favor of a movie that's all about, sunshine and rainbows, everyone's happy all the time, and because that's just not realistic. And I think this movie's very realistic in that sense, where there's, like you said, there's mountains and there's very low pits of
sinkholes.
Sadness.
Sinkholes is sinkholes. I know you're trying to quote me on that one. Sinkholes is the word.
Not doing a very good job.
It's fine. But yeah, no, even then, like I said, the characters are very relatable. They're very layered. They all have their own different like personalities and backstories. And like you said, like, you can kind of just, I feel like, everyone knows at least one person like the three main characters. And I think, again, that's probably one of the things that resonates so much in this film. Like I said, it's very funny. One of the things that I do love about this movie is that it's beautifully filmed. I love the cinematography of this movie. I feel like a lot of like coming of age stories tend to just like ignore all like the artistic craftsmanship that goes into a movie just in favor of just like the story. And again, I'm not saying that like the story is important. The story is probably the most important thing, but at the same time, I like it when a movie such as this one tends to take a little bit more time to address the aesthetic of the film, to kind of match it with the emotion that this film displays. And again, it was just like another layer on the cake of this movie.
Right, and I mean, I'm no film buff compared to, you have your degree in TV and film, but to me, it's not just about, like you said, it's not just about the story, it's all these little pieces coming together, like when you're building a puzzle almost, you're putting all these pieces together to create a full depiction of something, and I think that's very important to telling any kind of story.
And again, just another big piece of the film, the movie has a terrific soundtrack from... What's the song that they dance to at the homecoming? Oh my god, Come On Eileen. Thank you. I'm like, that's such a that feels like an old like classic song, and for whatever reason I just couldn't remember the title. But I have this movie to thank for introducing me to Come On Eileen, and more importantly, I have this movie to thank for introducing me to Heroes by David Bowie, the greatest song of all time. I dare anyone out there to try and change my mind. Anyone who's had any kind of conversation with me about music knows just how much I love this song, and this film uses the song in the most perfect way. And yeah, no, like I said, I just can't get enough of this movie, or of this movie's soundtrack.
Somehow I knew we were not going to not address the song. I will admit that I don't like the song as much as you do, but I do think it has a very imperative nature within the context of this movie. I do think that had they chosen a different song, because I think in the book that song is supposed to be a different song, but don't quote me on that, because again, haven't read the book. But I think for the movie, the way they did it with that song and that whole piece of the movie that was going on during the playing of that song was perfect. I wouldn't have changed anything about that scene. And I know that you love that song so much, so I don't want to knock it too much.
And again, like, I know you're saying, like, I don't love the song as much as you do. To be fair, I don't think anyone loves that song as much as I do. I don't think David Bowie even liked that song as much as I did. I feel like if he was still alive and he, like, found out about, like, how much I like the song, he'd be like, dude, just, like, calm the fuck down. It's just, it's not, I mean, it's good. It's good. It's not that good, man. Like, you don't have to be so as obsessed with the song as you are. But again, one of the last things I just want to touch on is, again, like, this movie wouldn't be nearly as strong as it is if it wasn't for the three performances from Logan Lerman, Emma Watson, and Ezra Miller. They all disappear into their roles. They give everything they've got. And I think, especially for Logan Lerman, in my mind, this is such a huge upgrade from the Percy Jackson movie. Again, I was not crazy about that movie in any way, shape, or form. It was just they got to redo those. They got to make those.
Make it happen, Joe. Make it happen.
That's no joke. That's one of my plans. I will mark my words. I will make that happen. Because, like I said, those books are incredible, and they did not get the film adaptations that they deserve. But again, Logan Lerman shows what he can do as an actor in this movie. So props to him. Emma Watson, of course, the year before the year before this film came out, the last Harry Potter movie came out. So of course, there's a question of like, okay, what's someone who's in this franchise for so long can be able to do with her life after being in a franchise for so long? Is she going to get typecasted? And she's honestly not. She's not typecasted in this movie at all. And again, she very much disappears into this role as well as Sam.
I think one of the things that always surprises me when I watch this movie, without fail, is that Emma Watson speaks with an American accent, like she's been speaking it her whole life, and every time I'm like, wait, but she's British, like what? And I know that she has that accent in this movie, and I'm like so surprised every single time.
Yep. But I think honestly the best performance out of anyone in this movie, and again, the best performance in an ensemble of great performances has to be from Ezra Miller as Patrick, Sam's stepbrother.
He is technically older than her by 3 weeks.
Only 3 weeks?
Only 3 weeks.
Only 3 weeks.
There's one line where Sam says to him, "Oh, wise brother of mine that's only 3 weeks older." I butchered that completely, but something to that effect.
Okay, but even though, like, I look at him, and again, I'm not going to say that his character had the most, but at the same time, like, I saw the widest range of emotion from Ezra Miller in his performance as his character. Again, there were points where he was very funny, but at the same time, there were other points where he was very serious and dramatic, and also, like, very tragic, too. Because, again, like, his backstory isn't exactly the greatest either.
Right.
So,
I think some of the best one-liners come from Patrick, though.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt in my mind about that.
Definitely.
All right, so all in all, like, I think this movie is destined to be, like, one of the great coming-of-age films, along with, The Breakfast Club and, Stand By Me. So I love this movie so much, and this is one of those movies that anytime I watch it, it hasn't aged for me too much. And so, in the tradition that I tend to grade things, I'm going to give this one a 95. I think this movie
is 95.
A 95. Again, this is a spectacular movie. I love this movie so much.
I'm going to have to give it a 100. I don't think there's anything that I would change about this movie. I could watch it every single day and not get tired of it. I think it's perfect. It's a beautiful cinematic masterpiece.
All right. Well, there you have it. Steph, thank you so much for coming on the show with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I say us as if, there's anyone other than us on the line right now. But again, thank you for coming on. And I hope you enjoyed the segment.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed too.
All right, I did. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you.
Sure, have fun.
All right, we'll do. Bye-bye.